Welcome back to Emporia, Kansas. We're at the 2024 PDGA Masters Disc Golf World Championship. Specifically, we are at Peter Pan Park for round 4, back 9 coverage of the FP40 division.
Big shout out to Ace Run Pro for giving the FP40 division coverage all week. Myself, Jennifer Allen, along here with Grant Zellner. We're almost to the cut. This is the last round for moving day, I guess you could say. Ohn holding down an incredible lead. Myself, Stephanie, and Kaire battling it out, as well as 2 more will advance with us to the semifinals.
Hole number 10, a 268-foot par 3 gets us going.
We have OB Lake very tightly along the left side. Mando tree on the right that you must proceed past on the left side. Trying to get a straight right side turning finishing disc and try to snag this birdie. This is a basket that Ohn drilled the first time we played this course, almost getting the ace. Kaire just kind of pitching out to a safe spot, gets a great little roll back out, probably about 50 feet. I still couldn't tell if she threw it through the hole of that bench, but just missing the concrete bench. Ohn does make it through and up there. Stephanie with a beautiful straight shot towards the basket inside circle 1. Going with the putter yet again. Just trying to throw it straight, getting a little bit of turn so not pushing in towards the water. Going to be about 28 feet. I'm tossing up the pig.
No stress there. Dangerous putt here, though. Keeping it safe.
Yeah, and these few holes, and I didn't really think about it really when we were playing because we've had no ground play, but a couple of these holes really do have a little bit more danger near the basket because the grass does go away in that area, and that OB, like most holes on the courses we've played, are just right behind the basket within, I would say, 10 to 15 feet. So definitely comes into play. Tapping in some pars.
I don't recall. I'd have to go back and look. Was Kaire in a tight battle with several others and having to try to keep an eye on scores?
I don't think so. I think it was really just the 4 of us that were pretty close, and then maybe a battle with the other 2 spots coming up.
Hole number 11, a 298-foot par 3. Water a little bit in play, water a lot in play.
I was going to say little bit is not the right description. Yeah. This is on a very skinny peninsula that comes out to the left. Basket there in the shadows. If you do land in the water, you must proceed to a drop zone, which is all the way to the left at the very end of this peninsula. So about 10 feet behind the basket, maybe about 15 in front. So very small spot to hit. Kaire was not trying to attack the basket, even though she fooled us. Does get the good skip. This is the first drive I've seen that actually attacked and landed on the peninsula. So she was trying to just throw it up nice and high and drop over there to the right, which is really kind of the preferred drop placement area. Ohn trying to get to that spot as well. There's the regular hole for this, or the other placement, is over there to that side. So we're kind of trying to fly that path. Ohn having too much distance on that, gets a big skip, goes long. Stephanie just trying to play it safe. So prefer to get a little bit further, so that's why I'm trying to go a little bit higher to get around over toward the other spot, but just catching branches high drops you down safe, but you'd like to putt directly at the basket versus across.
Up the length of the peninsula there.
Yeah. Because this is a pretty difficult spot. Trying to get a disc to land in such a small area when you're shooting out here can be difficult.
A little smile. Safe. Oh, bold bid there.
A little bit. No, just trying to lay it up, just getting a lot of ground play. I don't know what she was saying, but she was very upset that she had to take it from the drop zone. She wanted to take it where her disc went out. Unfortunately, the rules do state that you have to take it from the drop zone. She just did not like that there's really not a spot to run. The tree does get in the way. I mean, she could have tried to hyzer run it, but if she missed, she would have been an OB again, more than likely. So she did not like that she could not run it from the drop zone.
Right, sure. Own problems.
Yeah.
Kaire trying to pay it off.
I believe Stephanie did tell her she could go rethrow from the tee if she'd like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's generous.
That is probably one of one, I would have to guess, not looking at stats, for birdies on the 11th for the FP40 division. Pars are, I feel like, what most of us are going for. Ohn did get it the first round with a huge putt, though.
Let's see.
Nobody is immune to a course like Northwood Black.
Just throwing laser beams.
That's so good.
Bresnell, the birdie, the fist pump.
Critical shot.
Gotta get up. Bresnell.
That is a shot of a champion.
Your 2024 Champions Cup winner, Andrew Bresnell.
And we are at the 12th, just over 300 feet, 327 to be precise, a par 3 with an early Mando on the right.
I could be wrong, but this feels like it plays maybe 340 because I attack it with a driver and haven't really been long. So I'm going to say it plays a little bit longer than 327. You have to navigate around all these scattered trees. OB there to the right in the road, as well as the pond does come into play along the left side. So there also is a Mando right there in front of us. Kaire trying to take the forehand line. She had a beautiful drive the first time we played this course. This time just catching the trees high. So I'm going to take that direct line that Stephanie is flying, just getting a little bit too much turn, and then kind of a nice kick back towards the middle, honestly. I don't know if that would have kept turning into the road, but she is safe.
Oh.
Yeah, and I actually stabled up and changed disc to a destroyer. I typically throw a wraith, but watching the previous card in front of us play this hole, there was a pretty big wind gust from left to right, so I actually changed disc on the tee, and then the wind died. So it was hard to read because there really wasn't much wind, but then there'd be this weird occasional gust. So you can see the trees are pretty much still at the moment. So Kaire's going to attack the basket here. Getting a great skip right
Beautiful.
Up for drop-in range.
Really impressed with her upshot game.
Yeah, that forehand is just easier to get the accuracy dialed in, where the backhand touch is a little bit harder. Stephanie typically does it perfectly using that ground play. Trying to give it a little bit of a bid. I'm going to drop and stay close. Ohn, of course, going for it. Flying by the right side. She thankfully gets caught up in this bush, or that would have been in the pond.
Oh.
And I was standing on the left side of that basket, and I'm telling you, it went straight through the chains.
Mm-hmm.
Which, You know, she putts so hard on these baskets. I'm surprised we don't see more spits from her, but she just always hits the pole low, like it's where she hits it. That one catching a little more chain and not being strong enough to hold Ohn's putt. And we're just going to tap in some pars.
To the 13th. Out in the open just a little bit more here. 391 feet and uphill.
Yeah, we're finally playing these holes that Peter Pan that we know, getting out here on the backside where things do open up and stretch out. So one of our longer holes on the entire course, probably the longest. Pretty simple if you can stay out of those cedars along the left side. If you do turn something over, you can find OB on the right in the street that plays along the course. So Kaire has great distance, just putting a little bit too close to the tree. So ground play is gonna put her underneath the cedars and behind a small trash can.
Stephanie Vincent.
Yeah, it gets a little bit of a wind bounce and carries probably further than it would have. The wind was kind of letting that one ride a little bit. So this is where the wind, we could kind of start carrying our disc. It did the same to mine. Finally got him to spin around. It's been a minute. Used to be my goal of the round, every round.
Try to get the catch cam to spin around at least once.
Get the spin. On with a nice big hyzer. Almost making the shade. Not too many of these holes that we throw hard enough to get the catch cam to spin around. So it does feel good to finally get out here and throw a driver. Just a couple of pitch ups. One of those holes that you're just going to kind of get this with a long putt. Not sure it's been birdied this week.
Kaire with ceiling issues.
Yeah, she's going to have to go with a roller. And it looked like it was going to turn right towards the basket, but just kind of dies out in the tall grass. Been hitting low all day, so I really wanted to try to get this birdie. Gave it a little more lift. Unfortunately, taking the trampoline bounce. It's going to put me about 15 feet past the basket. Again, fatigue probably getting to all of us.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, and the heat and the humidity really kind of dragging us through this. And it's one of those things you have to kind of decide, like, do you stay with your normal, you know, pop and release on things? Do you try to throw it a little bit harder? It's hard to judge kind of in the moment.
Go.
Didn't know if I had it high enough on that one. This basket's a little bit higher than some of the other ones. Actually, it's actually probably normal height. Some of the ones we've been putting out have been very low.
And Kaire gives one back to the course. And we head to the 14th, another long one, nearly 400 feet.
Yeah, 400 feet with par 3, OB coming into play a lot more on this hole because it comes up right behind the basket on the right side. See that cable fence? The OB line actually comes out around the outside of that cedar, so you cannot get underneath that cedar at all, and then wraps around the backside, again, maybe like 15 feet within the basket. So we have seen some approaches, unfortunately, roll OB, as well as if you get too much cranked over on these drives, you can turn one over into that cedar.
This looks safe.
Yep, just kind of pitching up, playing this one for par. I turned OB the first time. This day, that disc decides to go straight stable towards the other card, which doesn't come into play. So it wasn't like we were trying to intentionally throw into them. And that is, like we said previously, just kind of the one mistake you'll ever see from Ohn's forehands. Kaire throwing it a little bit low, kind of trying to get that downhill angle on the disc. Ohn getting very lucky. I think she stays barely safe. No, right on the line.
Other side.
So Kaire taking the same line as Ohn, but brings it in just a little bit more. I mean, those discs are like feet apart, so
very similar.
Just really have to be careful on these approaches how close the OB lines are to the basket. Stephanie going with a nice little hyzer touch. Really did not want to get basket height on that one.
It's hard
just
with that.
take the par and move on.
A great view of how close the OB is to the basket.
And so that should be a bogey for Ohn with that OB stroke. She has a few to spare, so
She does.
I think
She's
it's
got
going to
some
be
room.
okay.
Room to wiggle. It doesn't sound very dramatic when I say, and the lead is down to 13.
Exactly.
You know,
Sorry about that.
It just doesn't sound.
Visit quirkygoodies.com today. We have over 100 fun, unique disc golf tees along with hats, stickers, metal wall art, and much more. Use code PDGA20 for 20% off.
At the 15th, 325-foot par 4.
Yeah, this is one of the holes they did not change the par when they changed the distance. This typically played all the way back down in the shadows, which was a really cool shot. So bringing it up into the trees after the flooding. Seriously, albatross, I mean, we've been going long on this hole, so it's one that you have to birdie because it should be a par 3. Almost very easy to get the eagle. I mean, like almost too easy. Like, you almost feel like you must get the eagle. Stephanie gets the most incredible kick there because that was heading straight towards the river.
It's not parked, but
Looked like it just kicked it right towards the basket. She's going to be a little short, but safe, so extremely thankful. Mine kind of turns over a little more than I wanted to as well, but going to push up towards the shade.
Kaire going a bit wider here.
Yeah, and she gave this one a run the first round, but this one just having a little bit too much distance.
so good.
Really loving where Ohn's placing the angle on the disc. Most of her drives this week have really been good. I think she's been kind of working on that instead of just kind of slinging them. She doesn't look like she's slinging them as much. Stephanie really trying to attack that eagle. She's going to have a pretty good comeback for the birdie.
Get up.
And I just knew like it wasn't enough, even though it just was a half an inch low. I'm feeling extremely tired. I felt like my sugar was low. I actually asked, a gentleman was going to offer me his Coke because I just needed some sugar or some kind of caffeine. Kaire hits the long putt for eagle. Ohn's going to tap in that eagle. It doesn't sound right to say.
It doesn't, but it is what it is, and the scorecard doesn't know any better. Everybody competing against each other here in the course, just trying to get all the way around in the fewest number of throws possible. I think on the first go around here, I think we had 3 2s and a 3 in our foursome. This time, 2 2s and 2 3s. So I guess that means the 15th has gotten teeth. I don't know.
Yeah, a little different wind. It kind of was a shifty wind for us, but here we are on the 16th. This is another new hole, around 380 feet. There is an OB line that comes along the right side at the edge of that hill there, because the water was all the way to the top of this hill after the flood. So you can see those OB flags that kind of go around, because that's where the water had been previously. Which is crazy to think it was 15 feet deep there, but lots of rain, lots of flooding.
Kaire.
Yeah, a little too nose up. And if she wanted to kind of push that OB line and be a little more aggressive, I think she had the distance to reach the basket. Ohn getting some great distance on this drive, but just no ground play in the thick grass. This is the grass you want in your yard, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm
like, this grass is
right now.
gorgeous, but we actually were kind of cursing it all week long. Except for that one time it'll hold you inbounds, and then we loved it.
Safe and in line with the basket is Stephanie, and now you.
Really trying to attack this one. I felt like I could trust the stability of the disc, but catching the cedar tree again.
Stephanie's approach.
And she lets this go a little low, so she's left herself quite a big par putt. Ohn just pitching up. And you can see Ohn pitching up and really not trying to hit the basket. I bet if she wanted to, she could hit the basket on every approach. But it's one of those things when you know you're just trying to have a tap in, it's almost better never to hit the basket, because you increase your risk of rolling away. As you even see, just hitting the koozie kind of gives you that little bit of a roll. So if you are conceding to the hole and going for par, then don't hit the basket. Pro tip.
Hang on, I'm writing that down. The penultimate hole, the 17th, 351 feet. It starts looking like a downhill hole, but then finishes.
Yeah, it probably finishes about the same height, just playing over this valley. Cedars on the left, as well as a few that come into play on the right side, and then the OB lake that comes into play right behind. These guardian trees are kind of the main big, object to get around on the course or on this hole. Get stuck behind that, and you really don't have much of a putt. Kaire had flipped this over the first time we played the hole, so putting a little more hyzer on it, scooting right up to circle one. And in the open between those trees, so that's the main thing.
That's the big thing there, trying to align this drive with the gap.
And Ohn had went backhand the previous round, and so switching to the forehand that she can get a little bit more distance, she's going to have a look for the 2 as well. Knowing that this is about the last hole to try to ace, of course I attack it. Just coming up a little short, getting a huge skip. I'm about 40 feet out to the left, and unfortunately I think I'm right behind the tree.
Dead in line with that.
Can't even see the basket.
Stephanie Vincent.
She's given it a run as well. Just going to come up a little bit short, but had a perfect line.
A little more work to do there for Stephanie.
Knowing I can't see the basket, I actually thought I could hit and stay right in front of that tree, but kind of gets a little bit of a skip. A little bit on that right side, which had been spinning her, but this one stays. And that's a huge 2. Big smile. She's really had a good back nine. A couple of huge putts in a row. Ohn says, you're not going to have the hot round. Hold on just a second. So that puts Ohn at 5 down for today. One more hole to go. That is another short added hole.
The dynamic disc jury. Man, this thing's good. I love using it for my putter up shots or even just throwing it off the tee too. Real nice. I like spinning it for deep circle 2 putts as well. When the wind comes out, whether it's putting or throwing, it's just very reliable and I can trust it. And you know, it's even pretty solid for some little forehand turnover shots too. This thing's money. As soon as I got it, immediately made the bag. You should definitely try one out too, and you can find one at dynamicdisc.com.
Here we are, the 18th, 291 feet.
You can see the basket just around all of the stuff in front of it. Little bushes, some cedars, OB line.
There it is.
Yeah, around that, another huge cedar and tree. OB line is very close on the right side. A few forehands coming in to the right of the cedar by the basket. Most of us preferring to go to the left of the cedar by the basket. So even though her forehand is great, she goes with the sky-high turnover with a stable driver that's going to hyzer out to the open, puts her at a great spot. Ohn had went pretty like right over this tree, so there's that mistake that we said if she ever makes a mistake, that's what it does. So cutting into that cedar. And I go straight nose up, which is fine. It's just not going to turn over towards the basket, but just drops out by the playground. I was going towards the car. That's where I was going. Stephanie taking that line as well, but just catches that last little bit of the cedar tree.
Taking her time, Stephanie trying to stay safe.
Yeah,
Nope.
needed that to hyzer just a little bit more, so she's going to be about circle's edge. Ohn's going to have to stretch out, which is a really hard thing to do with a forehand. So maybe would have had a little more arm room with the backhand shot, but she really loves to lean on the forehand approach from that distance. I think I was about 125 feet or so, but I have this park bench that I have to get over. So that was the main thing, trying to get the height but not go long. Kaire giving it a bid, staying close. That's going to be a tap in 3. So trying to save it, gets the most unfortunate roll. So like I was talking previously a few holes ago, if you're going to lay up, which she was not laying up. She was actually
going for it.
She was going for it. So that's just something unfortunate. But that's what happens. Like you just trying to get the basket like Ohn, and you're just not quite as good as Ohn. You sometimes get some really bad rolls from the koozies or the basket. So unfortunately, this is the second OB on this hole for Stephanie. And that is not how you want to end a very great round. She had a really good round going today. Some great birdies. I had to focus on this. I am not going to lie. I did not feel the power to even putt this. So taking my time, trying not to give any back. Just one of those putts you don't want to get lazy with,
Sure.
you know, at the very end.
Kaire with a great round, just one off the pace set by Ohn. And a quick look at this lead card foursome.
Yeah, we're gonna make a cut, and unfortunately the cut is 6, so that's gonna put us in 2 groups of 3, moving back to Swope Park. So Ohn, myself, and Kaire will be on a card, and our second card will be Stephanie, Christine, KK from Santa Cruz, and Ellen Widboom. So congratulations to all the women who made the cut. We will see you at the semifinals.